So what we're going to be talking about today is well, it's pretty uncommon, actually. The uncommonality of what we're talking about is that it doesn't have any intention in it. It's not trying to change anything or make anything happen. It's coming from a place, you could say, which is everything. Get the joke? A place, which is everything. What place is that? Well, that's kind of the discussion. A place of that where it's obvious that what's happening is needlessly as it is. This, at the moment, what appears as a room. It's never been here before. It's not part of a time-bound continuum. It might appear that way, but it isn't. It's free. So this freedom is, well, it's just simply everything already. But what seems to happen is there's a personal sense about this room, about the body, about what's happening. And that personal sense doesn't, to that personal sense, the freedom that this is hidden. It doesn't see that. And so this is needlessly everything seems to be lost. Lost to the sense that this isn't it. What's longed for or what freedom is something that is somewhere else. Something to be found. And this is uncommon, this sort of presentation or sharing, because generally that the personal sense, is reflected in the world, in spiritual traditions, in religion, in the idea that getting or having is the answer to the sense that something needs to happen. That something needs to happen is true. I'm here, everything is separate, and out of that sense, the sense that something needs to happen arises, and that sense that something needs to happen is true, and the whole world seems to reflect that that's correct. This, what we're talking about here, doesn't. It doesn't recognize, first of all, that there's a you. But simply because there isn't, there isn't anyone in this room. There are bodies, there are chairs, there's a ceiling, there's just the appearance. But it doesn't have any personal aspect about it at all, not really. There is an illusory sense that this is about, let's say, me, a person. But that's just an illusion. That is also the same freedom that everything else is. It just happens to have the qualities of feeling like it isn't. Feeling like it isn't free. Feeling like it needs to become something, or it is becoming something. There might be people in this room that have the sense that they're actually on a path, that they are closer to freedom now than they were yesterday. But there isn't a yesterday. There isn't any actual path to anything, and there isn't anyone to get closer or further away to what is already everything. So, in the discussion, we might talk about all sorts of stuff. We might get a little intellectual. It might sound like there's some explanations coming out about what this is, but in the end, this can't be explained. It doesn't need to be. The sense that it needs an explanation is the sense that through understanding, which is an acquisition, through some acquisition of some sort, that sense that something needs to happen will be fulfilled. The problem with that is twofold. First off, that need to know comes from the initial knowing I am. That knowing I am isn't a place of rest, it's a place of need. It needs to be confirmed. It needs to be reified, to know. The second issue with that is it isn't there. Nothing is actually separate to be known. Everything, even that sense of knowing, is the same freedom that the chair, the wall, the room, the light is. So there might be the sense that something's happening. I have given up saying that this doesn't help, because I think certain people have the sense that it does. But it isn't the help that they're looking for. It's the help of loss. And that isn't something anyone does. That isn't a choice that anyone makes. If it does happen, it's recognized in retrospect. Oh, something's gone. Something's not happening anymore. So it isn't because there's any intention. It's natural. The freedom this is natural. And you can say, in a sense, not really, but in a sense, the sense of separation or being a person isn't natural. It's artificial. It's a construct. And in some way, talking about what's natural can somehow be heard, and that artificial can loosen, disappear. I mean, disappear is a funny way to talk about something that's already not there. But that can be the story of what seems to happen.
Jim,
Yeah.
you said this room was never here before. So the logical mind would say, well, of course it was. It was here yesterday. I was here a couple months ago. It was here. It's just a projection.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a projection, because there's an apparent time. Oh, okay. So and there's sort of two things which aren't two. The appearance, there's an appearance of time, an appearance of separation of objects, an appearance of floors. But the whole appearance is actually nothing. It's not separate as though there was a previous time. It's nothing appearing to you. So yeah, there might be a memory of a previous moment which that body was here. That would just be a memory. So nothing appearing as a memory. So in a way, what we're talking about changes everything, but it doesn't touch anything. The only thing that seems to change is that it's not personal. But everything else sort of stays exactly as it is. It's just not only what it appears to be. To the individual, it's limited to the appearance. It's dependent on the appearance. The appearance and the individual seem to be all there is. That hides the freedom that it is, the unboundedness that it is.
So the memory of this, thinking I was here a couple months ago, this room was here, that's all just happened now.
No. No, for the individual it would be a now, that makes sense, but there isn't actually a now. A now would be another object for the individual to relate to. There isn't anything actually to relate to. There isn't anything separate. For the individual, the experience that it has is that it lives in a continuum. There is no continuum. In that way, there is no now separate from the continuum defined.
So when a memory arises, it's not happening now, it's just a memory arising in no time.
It's actually everything. So anything that appears is all there is.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why you use the word all.
All. No idea.
No.
Sounds good. Works. All there is. Sort of all encompassing.
Seems as if a viewpoint is knowing that.
Oh, if you couldn't know everything. That's why the individual is always unsatisfied. It can't contain everything. It's limited. It has a position of knowing, which is exclusive and narrow. It's uncomfortable. Some things come with that narrow position, such as a sense that something needs to happen, a sense of separation to things.
Especially when someone else says that that's illusory.
Oh, it has
And,
nothing.
and you don't have to, that it doesn't have to be
Well,
that-
nothing has to
well,
be.
that way,
Yeah. I'm not sure I understand.
that it is arbitrary.
Yeah. Arbitrary is a funny word. I would go with free. Chaos. There isn't an actual point to know what this is from.
The actual experiential feeling and experience of that point
Yeah.
does not seem free.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Well, that's kind of what the meeting is about. Is there's an illusion that there's a separate position that doesn't seem free. And the real problem for that sense is it is. There isn't anything but freedom. Even that separate sense is freedom appearing as a separate sense. But to that separate sense, it feels like it's not free. It wants to know a personal freedom. Personal freedom, again, is just going to be another limitation, an exclusivity. And all of that is freedom. There isn't anything but freedom. But you can't tell that separate sense that. Can't do it.
That's why arbitrary doesn't work,
Maybe.
because it implies something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
freedom doesn't.
No, it sort of had a funny feeling to it, yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Since we have two speakers here, is that means Jim's this is the same as Zabi's this?
Yeah.
But
But there isn't a Jim's this and a Zabby's this.
but it was
Because there isn't a Jim and a Zabby.
but the body the visual field is different though.
Yeah, oh, apparently, yeah.
But is that means two of you share the same this, or
Well,
you,
no one shares this because there is only this.
but the
There aren't two positions in this.
but the appearance is different though.
Yeah, it does.
Then each body gonna have a different this.
Well, it's not a different this, it's just a different apparent perspective.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
It doesn't, in the limited dualistic experience, there's always a position. There's always a comparison. That limited sense is what hides this as already free. So, this being, everything being freedom, doesn't actually make sense to that limited sense because it wants a freedom for itself. Completely missing that there isn't a freedom for anything because there isn't any separation for freedom to be for anything. All there is freedom.
This seems to contain control over this
Yeah,
as part of what it is
yeah,
and how it functions.
yeah.
And yet,
There isn't
There
enough
isn't.
time. There isn't enough time for anyone to be in control.
how is that funny to you?
I don't know if funny is the right word.
Well, humorous.
It's ticklish. It tickles. This doesn't know what we're talking about. So in the same way, it's fresh and new as it might be there, everything that comes out. So it's not like this holds on to or has some sort of knowing of there being no time. So it's completely new that there's no time when that's said. And that's where that comes from, is no time. And that's ticklish, that there isn't any time. It's like that. It's sometimes a bit like that.
But there's still control happening there.
No, well there isn't. Well, it's okay. You ready? It's going to get worse.
Bring it on.
There actually isn't anything happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Well,
We don't
what
know.
you mean by how does that work is how is that really happening
Yeah.
when there's nothing happening, and it isn't. The illusion is that it's really happening. That it never does. In the same sense that there's nothing separate. There's nothing that ever really happens. It's an appearance of nothing. Everything is nothing appearing to happen. So it just appears. Same sense of control. Just happens that the sense of control and the sense of separation are illusory. They have no reality except to themselves.
Well, that accept to themselves is something happening.
Oh, in that separate reality, absolutely, that's the way it feels. Yep, totally.
Because there is a separate reality.
Oh no, there isn't. But the separate reality,
Seems
that's all it has. That's all that's real. That's all it. The sense of separation is the sense that I'm real. I am real is everything else is real. It's all the same all the same energy. And that's the only reality it has, is the reality of the appearance. So that's how it lives. I'm real, everything is real. It isn't. There isn't anyone in that body. There isn't anyone in any of these bodies. What's that?
no, just
I want to be nobody. I want to be the only nobody in the room.
it seems like such an unfair joke.
Oh,
It just really seems
yeah. Yeah. It would be if there was somebody at the butt end of it, but there isn't.
So what's happening when things are being controlled? Okay,
There's no, hold
nobody
on.
that- okay.
Hold on, it's really simple. The sense of someone being in control. That's what's happening. But it's just nothing appearing as that. It doesn't actually happen. It's really simple. It's disquietingly simple. There are no explanations. Nothing needs to happen. There isn't a me to fall away. There isn't no such thing as liberation in the sense that there isn't a liberation for anyone or that happens. It's the end of something possible. It feels like liberation is something that happens, revealing that all there is liberation. This is liberation. It's done. It's that simple.
Jim, I had a question about the me falling away, because I seem to have that.
It doesn't.
Okay.
There isn't a me to
So-
fall away.
Okay, so, because I seem to have an experience of that happening,
Yeah.
and I have a feeling that what you're talking about, or what is the experience that I have.
Oh, I believe it.
When I look for the me, and it seems to fall away,
Oh.
and it.
Who would look?
So,
Who would care?
right.
Tell me about the experience. What is it that's happening?
Well, it seems to just be like this openness,
Yeah.
like a kind of centerless,
Yeah.
and like there's sort of no thinker of thoughts, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like thoughts happening.
Yeah.
So it seems to be what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's not always.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's common actually. And then suddenly it is. There just isn't anyone there.
You know, there's no effort in that.
No.
In the there's, like you said, there's suddenly no one there.
Yeah.
Is that a recognition, or is that just, is it a recognition?
Not really. No. Some things become obvious which weren't before as a result of there being no one. Like there isn't any space or time or people. Everything's unconditional love. But that's just a clarity that comes out of the end of something that already didn't happen. That end of someone, what you're looking for, never happens. Not as an event. It's not like there is now no one, it's there never was anyone. But that's not an event, because there isn't anyone not to be there. Yeah.
then what is this apparent sorting that can seem to happen in these conversations where it's like you're looking around and talking to people and kind of, it seems, okay, so everyone.
It's just what's happening. It's just nothing looking around and talking to people.
But the sorting, the
Sorting.
sorting, S-O-R-T-I-N-G, is like, it seems like there isn't anyone, but then there can be like, there's no one that thinks there's someone, and then
Yeah.
there's like no one that doesn't think there's someone anymore. And you're almost in a role of kind of like sorting it sometimes seems, letting people know if they're still an apparent someone there. And even someone might say like, oh, I'm no one too, and you're like, no, well, you don't really know that. So what is that like, if there isn't anyone, then what is that apparent sorting that can seem to happen?
Oh, well, there are obviously bodies that feel like they are. And then there's obviously bodies that feel like they are, but think they aren't. I mean, there's all that.
Right.
And this response to that. And whatever seems to be happening is nothing or freedom. So it doesn't, none of it matters. I mean, nothing actually happens. There isn't an actual beginning to this meeting or an actual conversation going on. It's just emptiness or absence, speaking and listening and shaking the head. And that's all it is. There's no difference anyway.
Is it only human bodies that you've encountered making the claim of existence?
My cats do not ask. They haven't asked yet.
And nothing else does. Trees don't do it, rocks don't do it.
Doesn't seem to.
I just tend to wonder why this kind of seeking.
Well, there isn't a reason.
So for the human experience to be searching for something like you were just sort of saying, like the trees or the cats, they don't ask, right?
Yeah.
And
Why are you really sweet?
Yeah. I what's this human condition that requires this?
Yeah, but again, you know, the whole idea that there's an actual human condition and something actually happening, then it requires an explanation of why.
Yeah.
It's simpler than that. It's just so simple. It's sitting in a room. That's the freedom.
I like it when you say it's a mystery.
Oh, I don't say that much anymore.
Why?
Because it seems like there's somebody to be mystified.
Right.
It's simpler than that.
Yeah, I just got it.
Mystery, woo.
Jim, I have a metaphor coming to mind. I'll give it to you and then you tell me what's wrong with it.
Okay.
So imagine like if you're watching a film and then somebody cuts the sound and it just continues along, but now it's silent. You're not, it's just all the action is still happening like it was, but something is fundamentally missing. Or in a way, it seems like what's pointed to here, if it were realized or whatever, like nothing actually changes at all. Everything is identically what it already is, and yet there's sort of something that is gone, like the people in it everywhere,
Well, the person watching.
and the projection of all the people out there.
No, just the person watching. Which is the reality of the people out there.
Which is the source of that reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is the same mostly, except there just isn't anybody in it.
Yeah.
And there isn't anyone who knows it.
Yeah.
So can we say this is like it's all like a light reflecting itself, or certain way? Maybe aware is not the correct way, but it is self-aware of itself.
No.
It's not like a, because some of the tradition mention about some illuminous light. It's not the human two eyes viewing.
Yeah.
It just itself.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah, it is, but there isn't anyone aware of that.
Right. It's because it's self-awareing everything.
It's not self-aware.
It just awareing.
It's just, well, it's not, aware implies something to be aware of or someone to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
And that's misleading. So that's just not how it is.
So it's not the human eye viewing the whole thing.
Oh,
at
the
all.
eyes see. They function.
It is still seeing.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like the message say there's another over. No, it's not.
There's not another over, but there isn't anyone in.
But
There isn't anyone in the body.
But during sleep, when this body during sleep, the eye is closed, but there's still another world come, another reality.
Dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is similar to dreams.
Well, in a way it is. My dreams are a little weirder than that.
Oh, why?
Why? I think, well, it seems like the brain, I mean, it doesn't matter, but the brain just makes it just makes sense of all sort of weirdness.
You still have dreams?
Well, I don't, but there are dreams. It's just a function of the brain, assuming that the brain.
Is this me creation a function of the brain also?
I don't think so. That to me is too limited. It didn't seem like that. The way it seems here anyway here is that the brain reflects the sense of me, not that it comes out of the brain. So there are certain things that you can measure in the brain that reflect there being a sense of a me, but getting rid of that wouldn't get rid of the me. It's secondary to the sense of separation.
Seems like the obvious problem with dream analogy, which is thrown around a lot, is that in normal dreaming, there's something else that's woken up to. Like there's a real reality from which the dream reality is seen as a creation or something less real. But what's being pointed to here is that the only waking up would be a waking out of anything. It would be just a dying into nothing. So this
Well, there isn't anyone to die into nothing.
That's the dream, that there's somebody
Someone there
having
that
a dream,
can
having a dream.
end. That would be an event. That there would be an event that would make this free.
As if anything could happen, or things are going anywhere.
Yeah, as if freedom was hidden. The simplicity that we're talking about is overlooked. Doesn't mean it isn't already. It's just overlooked through the sense that it's hidden. It's somewhere else. What freedom or unconditional love is hidden. When it's all there is. All there is, meaning every movement, every hair, every floor, everything is unconditional love. That's all there is. And it's not unconditional love as a source that appears as if this is. And the sense that something needs to happen overlooks that it's already this. Just looking for something, as though unconditional love would be something to you or for you.
It's happening, Jim Newman.
Yeah, well, apparently. It's not really happening. Yeah. But it's all happening.
Not happening.
Apparently it happens. It appears to happen.
Oh,
It appears.
yeah.
It appears.
Today you're being well behaved and calling it unconditional love, but you famously also called it dog shit or pizza.
Oh yeah. Famously. I think that'd be infamous. Yeah, words. It is words. It is words.
Are you going to vote?
Well, there isn't anyone here to vote, but voting is most likely going to happen.
There seems to be an unbounded kind of love or offering that this could be, that the way it is apparently and not be. There seems to be, you call it unconditional love. It's just wide open freedom that it is. And included in that seems to be a powerful love because makes itself so.
I got all the way to the powerful, I got that, but it doesn't make itself so. It's not an action. Unconditional love isn't an action.
Apparency is.
Apparent, yep. Apparent action. But that's not an actual becoming. There isn't anything actually becoming. There isn't this becoming unconditional love.
Well, not becoming, but being.
Being,
Happening.
yeah. Apparent. Yeah. Yeah, that's all there is love apparently happening.
Jim, what do you say, or what does that thing say when people refer to this message as a philosophy or as a perspective or as a point of view, and like, you know, make commentary about it in that kind of category? Like, how do you ever like attempt to differentiate? If you were to try to make the distinction, you just wouldn't.
Oh, the distinction. Well, philosophy is an explanation or tries to explain the appearance as real. It tells a story about the appearance. So there's no relationship. This doesn't tell any story about the appearance. As though it had value.
I mean, philosophy tries to grapple with existence and reality and
As though
knowledge.
Yeah. It tries to explain things.
This could easily kind of occur that way to folks, you know.
Oh, right. Well, they're not listening. That's how it seems here. Is they're not. It seems here. That's what that. If there's someone that thinks that, then that's what's happening for them. There's a intellectual understanding, and this is taken on as an intellectual understanding, as an explanation. Completely missing what we're talking about.
In a way, you've got very similar conditions, like a body apparently sitting in front of a room. Apparently, there are sounds coming out that seem to be describing how things are, aren't, or whatever. And then
It doesn't explain it though.
could be seen to an observer to be describing how things are, aren't.
Oh, totally. Oh, I think it's misunderstood as a philosophy.
So the distinction is really just simply that the body up there.
No, it's not listening. It doesn't explain anything. There is absolutely no helpful explanation or no way to see the appearance given at all. There's absolutely nothing useful about what we're talking about. I think it's misunderstood in that way too. I think people hear it as a practice or something to know.
Would wanting not to know also be in a
Same thing.
same thing?
Yeah. It's full stop.
Well, thank
This
you.
is full stop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was exhausted.
Oh, it is. Being me is awful.
He knows it too.
Have you taken him to a lot of these meetings, have you?
Could you say a little bit more
Good
about
sport.
what you mean by
Real, fixed, solid, separate, known. I have to say that most of what we talk about here, so if I say real or the individual, or the individual has the sense of being real, and that is the same sense that everything else is real, it's a useless concept. It has no functional, no practical use. That's not something else to know. But it's accurate. But the accuracy is hidden to the separate sense that wants to know what that means. It can't be known what real is for the individual until there's the contrast that obviously nothing is real. And then it's like, oh, of course, nothing's real.
You said until there is
Obvious. Till it's obvious. That nothing's real. Because no me knows what it's like to be me, objectively. Because everything is me. No individual, no separate sense knows what it's like that everything is real. Because that's all it is real.
What is this separate sense you talk about, like an entity?
It is kind of an entity, like a computer mind.
Like an apparition or something? Okay. But you talk about it like it has selfhood or apparent selfhood. Like it knows things, for instance, has a point of view.
I just said it didn't know things, but
Well,
it doesn't.
The whole story is about it experiences this fixity of knowing and of being and existence and reality. So we're giving it a lot of selfhood.
I guess it depends on what you mean by self.
So what is this separate sense that you talk about?
Those things that you just said.
Where are those sort of landing?
Where do they land?
I mean, like where is
That's the landing point.
the registration is?
Is the knowing of that or the sense of that.
Which no one does. It just arises as an illusion of a place where things land,
Yeah,
and then a collection of all the things that land there,
yeah.
and then looking for the thing that'll get me out of here somehow.
Well, it doesn't want what we're talking about. It wants something
better
else
collection.
that it could land on.
Yeah. Okay.
Like its idea of unconditional love, or its idea of not real, or its idea of freedom. A personal thing.
Jim, so to me, the absence of an actual me seems quite obvious, but the idea that nothing is real doesn't seem obvious.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the same thing. So there is a sort of an experience that one can have that you can't find where the I sits. If the individual looks for the I, it can't find it. And that'll be something that it seems to know, that there's no one. But that's not what we're talking about. That's just another experience or something else that it knows, then is that there you can't find anyone.
So there's totally different.
Yeah, it is.
No similarity.
No, not, but it doesn't, not in the same world.
Okay.
No, that's self-inquiry. And then certain characters can follow that quite a distance and have really profound realizations about the nature of the I am. All these things. In the end, it comes to that I am is the only independent knowing that can have, that can be. The only thing that isn't dependent is the knowing I am.
Because there seems to be an experience of looking for the self or the me, and that experience of it dropping away.
Only the me would look.
Right. So it's just what is, no matter what, with or without the looking. It's just simply.
Yeah, but what is isn't a thing. It's what is, which is nothing.
Jim, you mentioned earlier that you don't think the me is generated, the sense of me is generated by the brain,
No.
but reflected through the brain.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Yeah. In the same way that there's religion because there's a me.
There's a lot of talk these days about left brain, right brain. You know, the
I
left
thought they
brain.
got rid of left brain, right brain in the 80s.
Yeah, well, it's come back up again
Oh,
lately.
right.
And, you know, the left brain analyzes, divides, separates, labels.
Yeah, that's all, as far as I know, that's all BS. I
That's
don't
all
know,
BS.
I'm not a neuroscientist, but I think that's all BS. That it actually, what they found is that the whole brain works together all the time. It's just one mass of working. You can't find a particular, well, you can find particular places for things, but it's not separated between left and right.
Hmm.
That's what I don't know. I don't know.
Well, people who've had traumatic brain injuries on the left side, suddenly they have no sense of self, center, and certain experiences like that.
I've never met anyone like that.
Have you heard of Jill Bolte Taylor? She does a TED talk on that. There's a lot of scientific talk about it, but so, you know, a lot of the talk is that the sense of no me is strictly coming from the right side of the brain.
Well, I mean, that might be why after the meeting, I do have another room and I give lobotomies. They're expensive, but they seem to at least change things. That was a joke.
I know. I'm just trying to make sense of, you know, because there is a lot of belief that the right brain, there's been a shift in speakers like yourself from a left brain dominant to a right brain dominant seeing of things. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
kind of doing that.
It's obviously not the brain.
Well, how is it obviously not the brain?
Because it isn't in the body. There's the sense of separation is the sense of being limited by the skin. So the personal experience is one of being in the body, and the boundary of the person is the skin, and then everything is outside of that. That would include, I guess, if there is a brain, the brain. And what we're talking about isn't in the body or outside of the body. There isn't an inside or an outside of nothing. It's just.
But to talk about it, you need a body.
Well, speaking happens
Apparently.
with the body, but the words are sort of half, well, maybe just a third of the story. It's not about the words. Words aren't irrelevant. They're not irrelevant. They can be more or less misleading words, but it really isn't about that.
Aren't they always misleading?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. In a sense, I get what you're saying, that it's a little cynical. Because I don't think it's, I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're always as misleading.
But doesn't the sense of me need a body?
Listen to me, yeah.
So without a body, there's no me.
Yeah.
So if the body dies.
Yeah, that's the next room over. I'll shoot you for a small price.
I'm gonna get you there. I appreciate you trying to break the serious mode of the questioning. Show the absolute absurdity of it.
It's not the seriousness, it's that it's just hopeless. That
The
it's not,
absurdity, it's absurd.
it's not in any explanation.
Right. The absurdity of the whole questioning process.
Well, the absurdity, the tragedy is that that's what's on. That's freedom. It's unconditional love. There's nothing else.
Exactly, that is absurd.
There's just this unimaginable embrace of home. And there's a separate sense that arises in that and goes, I want to know where home is. And it suffers in that embrace.
Well known. The suffering as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Seems to have been experienced in the story, you know.
There is a profoundness of the certainty from which you speak
Oh,
that is felt.
No, I'm just the certain. There isn't any certainty. There's not enough time.
That you there's something that register. There's some registry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And consequential
In a way.
from your non-intention.
Yeah.
That seems very real.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And there seems to be something to that reality
Yeah.
that is not known, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't get it. And it's not consequential. It's that it's inconsequential. As opposed to the sense of everything needing to be consequential.
But there's a kind of relief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That seems more real than the nothingness.
Oh, Well, you don't know what nothing is, do you? The sense,
I've had
the
glimmers.
the recognition, the revelation of this being nothing seems more real than the experience of it being something.
It's terrifying.
Oh, that is, yeah, can be. That's how it was here.
It's like,
Totally. That's all there is. But like this, is that? That's all there is. It's already done. Nothing to hold.
Okay, I could go home now.
Hmm.
The sense of self, it seems like not just I'm in the body, but it kind of shifts. It seems really shifty. Like sometimes I am the body, sometimes I'm not the body, sometimes I'm the feelings, I'm not the feelings. Like there's always kind of a
Oh,
distance.
yeah.
There's either distance or
Some
not
detachment, yeah.
Yeah, detachment or being right there or whatever. But it also seems like the thing that's consistent is some kind of gripping. Like there's
Yeah.
always a sense of gripping
Yeah,
that's like regardless of the distance
Yeah.
even. And even the talking is like, oh, that gives you something to hold on to,
Yeah.
right? Oh, question and answer. Oh, I can grip onto that answer. I
Yeah.
can hold on to that.
yeah.
what is your sense of continuity now?
Well, there isn't any one with a sense of continuity, but there's apparent continuity. There isn't any sense of continuity.
There is. And yet, continuity happens.
Oh, apparently. It's just
There's
an
no-
appearance.
It just forms, or it just. Well, I mean.
There seems to be continuity, but there's no sense of it. There's obviously only what is, and that can appear as movement, which would be a continuum, or not. But it's nothing appearing that way.
Okay.
Landed about right there, right?
When you say nothing, you mean non-existent?
Yeah, you could say that.
So,
It gets a little funny. Existence is a funny word, but you could say what does and doesn't exist. What is and isn't. It doesn't exist. But that's not really, actually it's too limited existence. And what doesn't exist is also too limited.
because of both concepts.
It's not just because they've got anyway, I don't want to go into it, but it's
They're both concepts.
yeah, well, all the words, in a sense, you could reduce all words to concept. But that's it's not about concepts. What's obvious is that this is nothing, and for the separate sense, nothing then becomes something to find, which would be separate. And what I'm talking about isn't separate. It isn't to be found. It's overlooked, trying to find something.
So the only thing to do would be do nothing. Or,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, this isn't about. It isn't about the appearance. It isn't about what happens. It isn't about you doing or not doing. It isn't about that. And this is already not about what happens. Nothing is invested in what happens except the separate sense. And so it's always trying to find a direction, doing or not doing, knowing or not knowing, as though it's down to it, to find it, to know it, to become it. And all of that is part of the illusion that freedom is hidden, that nothing is hidden. So it overlooks the freedom of nothing, feeling like there's something for it. But this is nothing.
So there isn't much to do about it or understand about it. It's just.
Well, it doesn't matter.
No.
Well, first off, it can't be understood. And nothing that happens is separate from nothing. It already is free. Whatever happens is freedom. Trying is freedom trying. Not trying is freedom not trying. Feeling like an individual is freedom appearing as an individual.
Even bondage is freedom.
What?
Even bondage?
Bondage is freedom appearing bound. Of course, it would have to be. Or if it couldn't be bound or appear bound, it wouldn't be free. That's the you were here at the beginning when I said what we're talking about is uncommon, because it doesn't give a direction. Because what's obvious is that there is no direction to wholeness, because everything is already whole, and in that way, what we're talking about makes no sense to the individual which lives in a direction.
Because everything whatever's being said is already in it.
It's already done.
Done.
Yeah.
Complete.
Yeah. Already.
It feels like trying to understand is like so frustrating.
Yeah.
And the only thing that feels good is going to sleep.
Yeah. You could try alcohol. Alcohol works. I talked to somebody today where it worked really well.
I don't know.
Oxycodone? Sorry.
No, it's just The trying,
Yeah, trying is trying.
yeah, trying is very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like I wish you would stop talking.
Yeah.
To understand.
Yeah. Yeah. The sense of not being able to get it is awful.
Even the trying is all.
Yeah.
So over here, there's this really wanting the sense of me to stay away.
That's not true.
Okay. So what can you?
You can't want the end of you. Fundamental to the sense of separation is desire to survive, to continue. There isn't anyone there to not be there. There already is there.
And so when you say what's
That's one way not to hear it. Is that okay? I'll just ignore that and go on with the question.
Yes.
I want to die.
when you say what's longed for is freedom.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little hung up on that. So what's longed for? There's obviously no one longing. So is that right? Or
In a sense, yeah.
yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, it is. I understand. Doesn't matter. But there is a sense of being cast out of paradise, which engenders an energy of longing to be whole again.
I'm really wanting to say that I have a similar experience to what we're talking about
Yeah.
here.
Well, fair enough, you might. I mean, it's not special.
Yeah.
It's not far away. It's this. Why not? What you've described so far isn't, but maybe you haven't told me about it.
It's something that I forget. And that's why I think maybe we are talking about the same thing but I guess there's no one to forget it, right? So that's
Well, the thing is there's no one to remember it either.
there's no one to forget.
It's obvious. It's this. There's never been a no one in the past to remember. No one can remember being no one. There isn't anyone to know there's no one. If somebody tells you there's no one, walk away. They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Well, I did tell him that too.
Uh-oh.
He just laughed.
Oh.
Jim, in the past, I've heard you say that suicide is the me looking for a better experience.
Yeah.
Can it also be looking for the, the end of experience?
No, it doesn't want the end of the experience. It doesn't know what that is.
So
It
somebody
can't-
who's suffering so miserably that they just want to end their life.
Yeah, or have belief systems. There are people that kill themselves through strongly held belief systems. But it's always about a better experience.
Never the end of experience.
It doesn't have any idea what that is.
Right. I know you can't know what it is, but it just doesn't want to suffer anymore.
Yeah, it looks for a better experience.
So anything's better than what's happening.
Right. Yeah, but it's not no experience. It's looking for a better one. This is already no experience.